Hello, everyone, and welcome to Happy Hour Headlines. Today's guest is a powerhouse in healthcare operations. With over 17 years of experience, she has driven quality improvements, boosted efficiency, and saved millions for her organization. Armed with a master's degree in healthcare management, she's led teams, built automated systems, streamlined processes, and delivered outstanding results in complex, fast-paced environments. So get ready for an insightful conversation. Please welcome Charita Stone to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me, Allison.
It's so great to have you here. So I'm excited to delve into this conversation and learn more about what you do and how you're helping people. All right, my first question for you is how can healthcare organizations better support their staff's mental health on a day-to-day basis?
This is one of my favorite questions. A lot of employees that I've worked with over the years, sometimes they just don't have that safe space for open communication. So creating a safe space for them to come and vent, talk about any concerns that they have, whether it's they feel overwhelmed, the process isn't working. Um, we all went through a lot with COVID, loss of family members, working remote, all of these changes. It took a lot for everyone to adjust to. And so sometimes people just need someone to talk to, someone to hear them when they're speaking of real concerns that are important to them. So just creating that safe space is very important. I'll give you an example. I had a lady that I worked with very closely. She would come to me, during our one-on-one session, so it was more intimate, not everyone. And during listening to her, I realized that maybe she needed a little bit more training, resources, things that can just help her day to day be better. And during that time, I realized that she did need maybe ADA accommodations, maybe even FMLA. Those resources were available to her, and she just did not know about that. So that did help her bring the sense of anxiety down, that allowed her to just get through her day, enjoy her job more. Because we all, get up every morning. Sometimes it's a struggle to just like, oh, day to day, let me go, what, another day, another dollar. And I hear that phrase. But like, if you can have a space where you're comfortable talking to your leadership person about your concerns, it makes your job more enjoyable. So just able to create that type of space that, well, for me personally, I've worked for companies where, I started from the bottom. I didn't know everything, and I felt like I was thrown to the wolves. And you don't always get the proper training. So if someone listens to you and you're able to provide what they need, it does make them feel more comfortable and driven to do their job better. Also, take a break. Use your PTO. That's what it's there for. I am a person that I was on the hustle train and work, 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 salary, and I wasn't resting. And that affected me a lot. And I will be an advocate for that. Take a break. Go out and get fresh air. Sometimes a little sunshine and fresh air can just change your whole mood. A lot of people working remotely, they're just like, they wake up the last minute, it's like, oh, I'll get my shower later, and then you just into this remote life, and you're not really taking care of yourself.
Or even
It
getting dressed. I mean, it's so easy to just stay in your pajamas all day.
put on makeup. It changes your mood, We all have to be on camera nowadays with the new remote life, so it does make you feel better. It does affect your mental health. And also, when I notice employees come to me and, after they've discussed the things they're going through, that affects their workload and they're not able to perform, and that affects the whole team. The heavy hitters, the high performers, they're great, but eventually that starts to taper out. It's like a domino effect. And then they're like, why do I have to do everyone's work? Is this my reward for being great doing everyone else's work? And I know across corporate America, I've run into, this issue over and over. So it does affect everyone when everybody isn't pulling their weight. So if we're all like in it together and understand like, hey, let's help this person. The person that's struggling the most, getting in there, seeing what their concerns are and helping them, it increases their mental health. That load isn't on everyone else. So
Did you get
everyone,
into this space from prior experience and struggles that you faced? Because it seems like you come at this from a place of having been there.
Yeah, I've definitely been there. It is not comfortable. When we're all facing challenging times of change, and it's uncomfortable when you're starting a job or in the industry where you know that there's audits, there's someone watching you. Usually that people are remote. It sounds cool, but it's more of like a big brother watching everything you do, right? Your metrics, audits, are you on time? Did you do this? Did you do that? So that can be overwhelming. So everyone doesn't face burnout if we all just take time to take a break sometimes.
Mhm.
Uh, Scroll on your phone. Don't get too locked in. I know TikTok videos are out there. You can get lost in them. But as long as you're relaxing and just taking some time to take a short break, the work will be there. I'm a big advocate for preventing burnout because I overworked myself trying to balance being a mom of four, married, and then being a people leader and a healthcare executive in the industry. Sometimes I'm like, I gotta do this, I gotta do this. And people have to tell me, Charita, it'll be there tomorrow. Take a break. So it that had to be said to me, so it clicked in my head. And then I definitely I can relate to others and tell others that as well.
And I want to note to our viewers, we are filming this in the beginning of the year, so hopefully a lot of people are well rested. I found the period between Christmas and New Year's to be a very restorative period and hopefully refocus and start fresh and get this year off to a strong start. All right, let's move on. I have so many more questions for you. In your experience, what innovative approaches have you implemented to reduce the burden of your healthcare teams?
Of course. So, in the past, when you work for big corporations, sometimes the systems that we use, they were not built to take on the workload of so many people working remote. So the servers were not made for that capacity. Sometimes they crash out, the system shut down, and that leaves everyone in a panic. Oh, I have to do my work. Oh, how can I get this done? I know there are tight deadlines. Um, the higher ups, stakeholders, they usually don't know about all the small things that people go through day to day. They just want to know, is the work done? Did you get it done? What are the numbers? So what I have done in the past, I created an automation tool to help with efficiency, saving time, and at the end of the day, save money. If a system would crash, like an EMR system, like I worked in a call center where I managed like a large team. So if the system went down, we could not receive or take inbound or outbound calls. Everyone would panic. This automation tool allowed them to continue making calls, document everything that they would input into the system. And it actually, I mean, they got done with their work, like 75% of their work was done and they had like hours to spare. So it's like it was so transformational. It allowed, us to do other things and improve in other areas because automation is the key. When you can automate your day and it's like smooth sailing, it's like the secret. you know, um, uh, Technology really does make a difference. So anyone who was struggling, like if a new employee came in and they were struggling with their metrics and their numbers, I would sit down, go over everything with them and offer them this automation tool. They became so good, became from being the underdog to like top performer. So it definitely worked. Also, KPI dashboards. A lot of people, they perform better when you communicate. They want to know, well, how am I doing? You know? So when you let them know, hey, you got this many referrals, this many calls, you were able to save this many lives. When they can see that visually, you can communicate that they're making a difference. It encourages and empowers people to want to work harder, to want to do more, to know that they're making an impact in someone's life.
Mhm.
I worked a lot in the case management department. So these are not just numbers you see on a screen. We're not just cattle. These are real people who you're really helping to save them in healthcare. So
There's so many tools out there, and a lot of people don't know that these systems and processes exist. So it sounds like by connecting with you, you just set off a light bulb and unleash so much more productivity. Is that correct?
automation tools, KPI metrics, and dashboards, those are a big deal. And I didn't always know how to do those things. I worked in a department where it was very new, a lot of startups, a lot of times where I didn't have the resources that I needed. So, I had to create something from scratch and, test it, try over and over and make sure that it worked. And eventually I became what was needed, for the department that I was building from the ground up. So, but when I created the automation tools to help the department, the feedback that I received as new employees became more confident with their work, and then people that were struggling before, it helped them to do better. And that allowed them to be seen from the people at the top because, it's all about efficiency, saving money, and how you can do your job better. So innovative ways to do that. It's what it's all about. Automation. The automation tools definitely help to do that. That is definitely correct. A lot of the times, just something simple as learning how to use Excel. Everyone doesn't know how to use Excel in the same way. And, the range of employees are like from just different age groups of employees. So if I send an Excel sheet that has their work on it, just if I accidentally forget to add a filter and everyone freaks out, oh, there's a filter, how do I know what to do? I would show them, hey, this is how you add a filter. So just little things like that. I would start implementing little learning videos, like a lunch and learn. So they would learn little things that are transferable skills everywhere they go. And they would feel like really confident. It would really boost their ego that they learned something new, like maybe that they could share with their friends or family members. It's not just in one industry, it's all over.
That's great. I was actually just reading something today, being the new year. They were saying it's always good to learn something new. And a good
Yeah.
New Year's resolution is to pick up a new skill. So something like that sounds like it's just helpful in any area and almost any job. It's helpful to know how to use Excel and some of these things that you're teaching people. All right, would you mind sharing some of the biggest barriers to transparent communication in healthcare between executives and their teams that you've experienced?
Sure. I've definitely been on both ends of the spectrum, being a person higher up in leadership and then know what it feels like starting from the ground when you're just trying to do your job and you need to be communicated with on any changes that come across. A lot of times, stakeholders or people higher up in leadership, they don't want to cause mass panic. So they hold some certain things until the best time to go live with that. For example, my team, when I'm in a leadership meeting, if there's something new coming out, I usually communicate with my team so they can prepare themselves, be aware, and they really appreciate that communication. I've seen other leaders, they maybe don't communicate, and then that affects their team in a negative way. It's almost like my team's on the cutting edge, or they become leaders in the department because I just communicate with them. I want them to be sharp and know everything that I know. It's almost like if you can build leaders, you're making an impact. Um, but the most what I've seen, for example, there was a change with HIPAA verification and how we verify that in the department because we do have an auditing process. Everyone usually would verify HIPAA a certain way. When that changed across the board throughout the company, it took a while for people to adjust to that because there was a priority in the way it had to be verified. A lot of the times when you're on the phone with people, they don't, because there's so many spam callers and you don't know who's on the other side, people are not so free to give up their information, even when you're calling from like their insurance company. They might not be like want to talk to you on the phone. They might assume that you're a spammer. When I met with my team and we broke down the changes and then we attacked it and knew what to do and they felt comfortable, my team excelled. Their audit scores were 100%. There were some people who maybe had 98%, but overall, they were very successful. I communicated with them when there were changes, and the feedback that I got is, Charita, thank you for always communicating with me when something changes, when something is new. People don't always adjust well to changes. It
Mhm.
does cause panic, anxiety, fear. So I'm big on open communication to just kind of lessen some of that anxiety. And when you talk to people and just let them know, hey, these are the changes. This is how we're going to go about them. And, we'll build up and take our time. That does make them feel safer, a lot more calm about the changes. I guess gatekeeping information is just leadership that is higher up leadership might think that that's the best way, but I don't agree with that. I think you should always openly communicate with your team about what's going on so they can prepare themselves,
Mhm.
and mentally be in a space to be aware and look out for those changes.
And I think it's good for you as a leader. It makes them respect you. And, when there's that level of respect, everyone's more successful.
Yeah, and also, when you have that trust with your team, I know Sharita has my back. She's gonna let me know what's going on. I'm gonna be prepared. I won't be like blindsided on any changes because when you're in a big organization for compliance and things to be quality assurance, there's audits. So you want to make sure that that is going well. Also, the auditing team has to know about the changes, so everyone doesn't just fail the audits because healthcare things change all the time. As soon as you learn a new process, there's another change. So you have to be able to quickly adapt to those changes. I've seen so much where documentation will be documenting one way, then it switches and someone's still on the old way, then they might fail an audit and they might lose their confidence. Well, I thought I was doing it right, but we made changes. So that's across the board in healthcare. You just got to be ready to roll with the punches
Mhm.
and adapt to all the changes.
Now, you've mentioned how you manage your team. I'm curious to know, what do you think is the key to keeping teams motivated during periods of high stress or uncertainty?
I've faced a lot of times of high stress and uncertainty. The best thing is to communicate and encourage your team. I mean, we're all people. I think sometimes people see titles and they get intimidated. Oh my gosh, I have a meeting with the director, with the VP. We're all people.
Mhm.
I'm a people person. I'm a communicator. So when you just sit down and talk to someone, encourage them, see where their struggles are, and see where you can help fix anything that they're struggling with, improve, that does help build them up. It helps build up the team. We're all in this together. And if they understand that, it does create trust and better team morale. So I believe in encouragement, a reward system. A lot of the times there might be someone who has to help someone else and they're worried, well, I don't want my work to get behind. If you're short staffed, you have to train new people and it does create anxiety across the team. But rewarding people and letting them know that they are appreciated for their hard work and things they do. I have received feedback during like performance review time of the year, and I ask, what motivates you? And the feedback that I received is, you know what, Sharita, being able to talk to you and having that trust and you encouraging me, that actually motivates me to want to do better. Like I feel confident in my job and confident in what I'm doing. So that motivates me to want to do better. And I've seen that same person, be very insecure about what they were doing. They didn't speak up during meetings. They hardly interacted with the team. A lot of times working remote, we rely on Teams to communicate. We don't really have face-to-face interaction unless we're in a meeting and we're on camera. So people might be shy, but that interaction and encouragement does help a lot. During challenging times, like I've mentioned, I've built a department from the ground up. I came into the department, I started realizing the challenges, and my mind thinks like process improvement, immediately go into action. Okay, standard operating procedures, workflows, building systems that help that department grow. And what I've seen from that, we brought on new ACOs, new health plans. That's thousands of members, population of different members, because we were able to start small and increase and grow. So it's definitely rewarding to see just what people do when they're faced with adversity. So
Mhm.
many people think, oh, yeah, micromanaging. Oh, let me do this. Are they doing everything they're supposed to do? That's kind of like a sense of anxiety in leaders. You have to trust your team and know that if you've trained them well, you build them up in their confidence, they're going to perform, because they want to prove that, like, hey, I can do this. And a lot of people are, want to move up in the company. So they have something to prove. We might have a position that's open. So I'm like, hey, anybody wants to move up in this position, get out there, show who you are, speak more in the team chat, help others, In the department that I was building, I created this folder with all of the SOPs, standard operation procedures, and that got the attention of senior vice presidents and directors. And then, we built the OneNote and we just kept building on that as things changed. It's kind of like a living and breathing document. It doesn't stay the same in healthcare. So it was always changing. We were always adding to it. I became like the subject matter expert. And then as we grew, I began to train more leaders and more leaders. So I didn't always have the resources that I needed, but I kind of became what I needed. Like if we didn't have an IT guy, I became the IT guy. I got certified. I researched the latest technology, Tableau, Excel, working with data. Data is the future. Data and healthcare go together. Like with EMR systems, you're going to need to know about data. So when I realized that if I didn't learn this skill, I would get left behind. Getting your certifications, I would spend my weekends looking at TikTok videos, YouTube videos, constantly learning, constantly evolving. So I would encourage my team every time I learned something new, I would share it with them. And if they were not confident in what they were doing, I would definitely build them up and share that with them. Really, how I guess I started to get acknowledged from senior leadership until I built myself into that level, growing different departments from their
You know what?
influence.
That reminds me of something amazing that I heard recently. Are you familiar with Jocko?
I don't think I am.
He's a famous Navy SEAL and he has a podcast and he does a lot of influential speaking and he is a leadership expert. And one of the best things that I've taken away from him is whenever he's faced with adversity, he says, good. That's always his first response.
Yeah,
Someone comes up to him and they say, oh, sir, we're being attacked. Good. And it's always a chance. And obviously, there are bad things that are happening, but he says good because it's a chance to learn something new and to respond and challenge yourself.
that is exactly the next point that I was going to say. Conflict is good. Sometimes people run from conflict. What is that on Toy Story? I don't like confrontation.
I don't like confrontations.
The dinosaur, but conflict is good because it allows everyone to bring everything to the table. You can see, our areas that we need to improve on, the strengths, and we can learn and grow and make, the future better for the goals that we have and projects that we're working on. So I always say conflict is good. Make mistakes early.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's the best advice that I can give. Make mistakes early because that's when you really figure out who you are and how you react under pressure, and you really dig in and you can make those changes. When everything's good all the time, that's just very comfortable and you don't grow that way.
Mm-hmm.
So conflict is a good thing. That's definitely something, one of the things I learned when I was getting my PMP certification for project management. You're not going to always agree when you're in leadership roles. There are so many people who have different opinions, and they might feel that their way is the right way, and they're very stern on that.
Mm-hmm.
So just knowing how to, evolve and work with different personalities and compromise so everybody in the end, we all win.
That's a sign of a successful leader is to see conflict as a good thing. And I definitely got that vibe from you, which is why I brought up Jocko. My last question for you is, how do you hope to impact the world as a healthcare professional? I feel like that's a good way to end this conversation.
Yes, that's one of my favorite questions because healthcare is changing so much, but at the same time, I started in healthcare when I was 17, and I originally wanted to be a doctor. So I worked in the hospital behind the scenes with doctors, and I started to notice there were a lot of things in the system that I seen that was broken, and it seems more like people were cattle than you're trying to save their lives, and that sparked something in me. that I just wanted to make a change. Like, if this is a healthcare system, we should be helping people. My mother-in-law passed, and she didn't have access to affordable healthcare, and that really did something to me, because a lot of the times people just don't have the healthcare that they need. It's not provided to them, as a privilege to them because of where they come from, their income level, or like the part of the country that they live in. So we can't always save the world in that way and make healthcare free. I wish we could one day get to that point. But the best thing I can do is bring awareness to people that you need to take care of yourself. Get more rest, not just sleep. Sometimes people sleep and they're not resting. Your body, your nervous system will let you know you need to get more rest, eat better, be more active, get proper nutrition. When I'm encouraging people that I see that they might have good health care or taking a lot of medications, just herbs, fruits, and vegetables, that sounds really basic, but it really does make a difference. My own mother, she was recently diagnosed with cancer. She does have health insurance, but there was an issue with her insurance, and when she came out of surgery in the hospital, they were just ready to discharge her without her going to her first bathroom break, walking, and I was just, what? I couldn't believe this was happening. So, I talked to the healthcare administrators and people in charge, but it was just amazing to see they were just ready to move another person, a warm body in the bed. She was taking up space after coming out of surgery because there was an issue with her insurance. So, that's definitely a problem
You
where
really need to
people,
advocate for yourself, and it sounds like
yeah,
you're helping people to do that.
you have, I would just like to bring awareness to people to listen to your body, take care of yourself. At the end of the day, you can have health care insurance, you can have all the medications, but listen to your body, get proper nutrition, rest, because if you don't, your body will give you signs. It causes, there's this hustle culture that everyone's like, oh, don't get tired. I don't need sleep. Keep going, hustle. That's
Yeah, it's like
good.
a flex to get 4 hours of sleep. It's
Yeah,
ridiculous.
it's good when it's time for that, but that causes burnout, high blood pressure, panic attacks, your nervous system, your body has all the flashing signs like service engine, like to take care of
And
yourself.
these
So
people, you might retire at 40 years old, but can you enjoy retirement when you have all these diseases and health issues? I hear it time after time. People who worked so hard and burn themselves out, sure, maybe they're financially successful, but then they can't enjoy this financial success.
right, I totally agree.
It's all
So
about balance.
it's all about balance.
And people need
That
to be told. It sounds simple to eat healthy and rest, but it's not.
I think like I can't, I think the biggest thing is just bringing awareness to people.
Mhm.
Simple things that you're told all the time, but when you really start to implement them into your life, it makes a big difference. And you start feeling better on your own. Now, don't get me wrong, some people really need to go to the doctor. They might need medication for certain um, diseases or things going on in their body that they really need help with. But try to help yourself and listen to your body. That's why we have these intuitions and listen to your body. It's talking to you. Just we have to listen. So as a healthcare professional, how do I want to impact the world? Definitely take care of yourself. Take care of home.
Well, it sounds like you're having a huge impact. So thank you for sharing this information. It was a pleasure to meet with you and learn more about what you do.
Thank you so much, Allie.